Hi, my name is Stephen Long, and I host a show here on Rock Candy called Sacred Tension. It's about the spiritual discipline of asking questions. If you find yourself uncomfortable in your faith, if you find yourself caught between modern science and ancient religion, or if you're curious about the journeys of others who are sorting out faith and doubt, Sacred Tension is a place where nothing is off limits. You will find conversations with pastors, cult experts, spiritual leaders, and skeptics, all discussing the ways we navigate the faiths we were given. Find Sacred Tension right here on Rock Candy and wherever you listen to podcasts.
Welcome to the 11ty Life podcast.
What's up, 11ty family? Matt here. I'm so happy that you are with us on this week's 11ty Life. We have some awesome stuff headed your way on this episode. This episode, we get to sit down with a friend of ours. His name is Wes, and he is a venue owner slash talent buyer slash booking agent slash all of these different things rolled up into one. He books for an amazing little venue in Greenville, South Carolina called The Radio Room, and we have a pretty extensive history with him. We decided to have him on to demystify a little bit of the process of going from being a band in your basement to a band who's booking a show, to a band who is playing local shows and then moves on to do regional and then national. He deals with bands of all different shapes and sizes and places in their career, and he is a wellspring of knowledge about this kind of stuff because he lives it every single day. So if you are curious as to how certain bands end up at certain venues, or if you are your own band, and we have a ton of creative people that listen to this show, people that are in bands, in up-and-coming bands, trying to navigate the music industry and trying to figure out where they fit in the big scheme of things, going from being a local band to sort of trying to build a following and figuring out what venues are best for them to play. Hey, we're going to talk a ton about that with Wes on this episode. So if you're trying to figure out how to move to the next level, or what kinds of venues you should be calling, and also what you should be saying to the people that are owning these venues, how you should be communicating to talent buyers. We're going to talk about the differences between what promoters do and what venue owners do, how they overlap, what the different responsibilities are. All of that's going to get addressed in this episode. So if that is your thing, pay attention because there's a lot of really great stuff in here. And hey, before we bro down super hardcore with Wes on this episode, I want to let you guys know that we have a brand new 2018 eleventyseven karaoke competition in effect. I literally just put up the Facebook videos for it to explain what it is. I'm going to put a link to this stuff in the show notes. You guys all voted on the song from Rad Science that you wanted to do a karaoke competition for, and it's 1990 Awesome. We have the karaoke version of that song that you can download, and man, I'm so excited. Basically, the whole idea behind this is you make your own video, your karaoke video of you singing 1990 Awesome. You throw it up either on our Facebook page or send us a link to it on YouTube, wherever you upload your videos, and you're immediately entered to win. So we're aggregating all of these videos that you're going to send in, and the winner gets a special trophy designed by yours truly, as well as some Rad Science swag to go along with it. So be sure to enter that competition because the weirder the video is, the more I'm sure that we're going to love it. Huge shout out to everybody over at the 11ty Life Facebook group. You guys are beautiful. I hope everybody's staying safe from the storm happening this weekend in North Carolina. Gosh, I hope that everything works out okay with that. And if anybody needs a place to stay, come on over. Also, a huge shout out to everybody who is supporting the show by purchasing something from the Rock Candy Recordings online store. We have just seen a ton of orders flying through the store recently, and I know that you're to blame for it. So I'm coming after you. I'm on my way. But anyway, I'm being stupid and lame. But a huge thank you to everybody who's doing that. It really does move the needle for us. It moves the needle on us being able to create more content, on the quality of content that we're able to create. And we absolutely are indebted to you for every dollar that you spend in that store. So yeah, all right, I've gone on long enough. I love you guys. I hope that you enjoyed this episode. On with the show. What a fucking white thing to say.
We actually were just...
I was just talking with a friend of mine about how disenfranchised I am about hip-hop. The current state of hip-hop.
Well, I've had hip-hop shows at my bar. They're the worst.
Are they really?
Their modern hip-hop is, at least in Greenville, South Carolina, is complete fucking garbage.
Is there? That's yours. That's yours.
Which is what?
Are there no? Yeah. You can take the couch because it's probably the most.
Because this is where we're going to film you.
Yeah.
Later.
Derp.
No, dude, like, basically, if I do a hip hop show now, it's a room rental. Like, I'm just like, I've seen so many of them.
You can't do that, Wes. You can't have the microphone be that far away from you.
We've started.
Get used to having it close.
It's begun.
You play in a band. You know how this goes.
Yeah.
All right.
I don't have 3 beers in me and an instrument around me either, so.
Well, not
You
yet.
declined the beer.
Yeah, we did everything
Well,
we could to
out
make
you
that
for an
happen.
hour. I might change my mind.
Okay.
Yeah, BWRUN.
Oh my gosh.
Definitely don't go see an amateur hip hop show.
So who are the hot artists?
No one.
No one.
It's bad, dude.
In Greenville, there's just not.
Do you remember the G Spot when the G Spot was a thing?
Hmm.
I was at a hip hop show at the G Spot one time, and my mom had no idea what to think. It's like, I'm going to the G Spot to a hip hop
I've
show.
been
For
to
a
the G
hip-hop
Spot and I
show.
still don't know what to think.
Yeah, it's a strange place.
Wait, so I've never been there before. I have no idea what this thing is.
It was downtown Greenville. It was
Yeah.
closed. It closed like 6 years ago, probably.
They did a lot of Battle of the Bands there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It was like a towny bar that, I don't know,
Yeah,
regular people went and got white girl wasted because it was Friday.
White girl wasted. Woo girl.
that's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's downtown Greenville on the weekends in a nutshell anyway. The people are still driving by in their cars going, woo!
Oh, there's Woo Girls.
Well, it's woo guys. Do the people haven't been to the city? People haven't been to the city, apparently. I don't know. Yeah.
Jessica and I call any girl that has a Bud Light in her hand, and it's because it's so much more likely if you're a girl and you have a Bud Light in your hand that something's going to happen in the next 3 minutes and you're going to yell out "woo," and it's almost going to be an involuntary thing that happens. To
I don't
you.
know, dude. Have you seen all them women on pontoons in Lake Greenwood?
All them women
Them
on
women-
pontoons.
Yeah, them women they're not woo girls, man. They're Marlboro in the back pocket kind of.
I don't think
they're more Danica Patrick kind
I
of
think
girls.
you can be a woo girl and also enjoy flavor country. I think that's a possibility.
Please say you're already recording.
I'm not trying. Yeah, we're
Yeah, dude,
always
it's rolling.
recording. Everything's
Okay,
always
God.
recording. I know. So
Wes loves modern hip hop, especially in Greenville, South Carolina.
Loves it, and please book or rent out Radio Room from time to time.
well, look, but that's the interesting situation that you are in because you can bring bands in that you're like, I had a great business night. I don't necessarily get or like your band. It doesn't matter because I'm a dual personality person as a venue owner, as a talent booker. You know what I mean? Like, you know what's going to move tickets a lot of times.
Hopefully.
Yeah, but like you don't have to be a fan of the band.
Oh, no.
You can just have a business relationship and everything is great. It's not like we can only be friends if I like your art.
Oh, yeah, no. I mean, there's so many shows I bring in because, like, it will pay for the shows I want to see.
Yeah.
Like, people weren't clamoring to see Dave Haas when they came through. I lost, like, $1,000 on a Wednesday.
Damn.
But fucking, I don't know, Sister Hazel paid for that or whatever.
Yeah.
You know?
You had Sister Hazel?
Duo, yeah. Kid and Drew.
What?
Super nice guys. Like,
Dude. I
they
wish
were-
I would have known that.
yeah, they were really chill. Like,
Oh my God.
I had them back in a heartbeat.
Walk around this
Oh, yeah. We got Super Greenville in that one.
Is that Sister Hazel?
Yeah, dude.
Who's the other guy that lives in Greenville? Move
That's
your
Edwin.
mic like 6 inches
That's
closer.
Eddie.
Edwin McCain was actually there.
Was he?
He got on stage and sang a song with him.
My dad taught Edwin McCain how to play pool. Didn't know who he was, but he was telling me,
I
he's
don't
like,
believe this.
I've been hanging out with Eddie after work. Been hanging out with him. Taught him how to shoot pool. He's a nice fella, young kid. But he asked me, he said, Danny, I want you to teach me how to shoot pool. And then he just kept referencing Eddie. And then we were watching I Love the 90s. And, and my dad's like, what the hell is Eddie doing on TV? I'm like, Dad, that's Edwin McCain,
Dude, I
you
love
idiot.
I love parent obliviousness. My dad was like, we're talking about the new Avengers movie, and he was like, yeah, it was kind of a downer. Like, I was like, yeah. It was like, it's about how the way it ended, and it's like, well, just gearing up for the next one. He's like, oh, there's gonna be a next one. I'm like, it's Avengers part, like, the Infinity Gauntlet part 1 or whatever.
Yeah,
like,
it's like-
Infinity War.
yeah.
What the fuck? Gauntlet? Infinity Gauntlet? Who are
That's
you?
ungodly.
You're like our age too. We're supposed to be like so on board with Marvel Avengers.
Supposed to be so on the pulse.
Actually, are you a fan?
Yeah.
Are you? See, yeah, because I could have swore that I heard you talk about like comics before and kind of following a few
I follow as much
strands.
as I can, but between having 20-something shows a month and a 7-month-old daughter,
Yeah, he's
Like-
big dogging you right now. He's big dogging you.
Between having an important life compared to your shitty one, I make ends meet.
some people just have time to be fanatical about shit. My old roommate Miles, dear God, I don't even need like anything. I just need his Facebook feed, and that keeps me in the loop.
Oh,
Nice.
yeah. Yeah. I think we all have those friends who like they're constantly, you'll never be out of the know as long as you don't block them from your Facebook feed because they're just so into it.
Made the mistake of telling my partner all the employees I have that I've hidden from my Facebook feed. And he's like, I hope you didn't hide me. Like, sorry.
Did you?
No.
Yet.
That's awesome. Well, I thought maybe for this episode we could do like I would love to have a conversation with you that is basically the equivalent of a primer on how to react, respond, treat, talk to, communicate with a promoter. I just want to sort of demystify this. Like, what exactly is a promoter? What's a pro boner? What exactly is a pro boner?
Freudian
Beer and a half
Freudian
in.
slip much?
And I'm like, what exactly is a pro boner? What's the difference between a promoter and a venue owner, and how do they overlap? Because you're both, sort of.
Right.
On
a good day, yeah.
And then, like, if you're a band, what are you looking for in up and coming bands? What are you looking for in regional acts, national acts? Like, I just want to talk through this with you and demystify it
I'm
for
in a super
everybody
gray
else.
area right now, so you're going to get like, you might get lucky and get some existential head crisis shit or something.
Wes,
Okay.
Wes, what we really want to get out of this is just a show at the radio room. It's just, we need somewhere to play.
No. That would be the worst thing. We invited you all the way here to be like, Wes, will you come on our
here's our demo.
podcast?
Here's the demo.
We've already talked about it. I'm pretty sure if we start doing shows again, the radio room is like, that's exactly one of the places that we want to hit up. Like first. But you and I have been talking about this for years, like trying to get something together and doing it that way. But just like I'm thinking in terms of in like a broader term for like a lot of people that listen to the podcast are sort of up and coming artists and musicians or bands. And I feel like I get emails, probably 2 or 3 of them a week actually, that are like, hey, so do you have any advice on shows? And I'm like, that's the vaguest shit I've ever been asked. But one of the things that I have learned, like just maybe prompt the conversation, is promoters and venue owners are running a business. And if you're not running one as a band, they kind of don't want anything to do with you because you can't speak the lingo and you don't understand what's important to them. Because if you see your band as a business, you're always thinking about, okay, well, what's the bottom dollar? We've spent all this time and energy manifesting our art and like becoming self-fulfilled people, and we're like ready to share this with the world. Now it's time to switch gears because you're talking to other people who live in the real world and not in the artistry world, who have bottom dollars, who have to make X amount of money every month to keep the lights on, like whether you're a promoter or a venue owner. And so if you can't speak to them in their lingo or at least understand where they're coming from, a lot of times it does put you as a disadvantage. Like if you're just out there blindly shooting emails to people like, hey, can I get on a show? Like, well, no, because you haven't made a value proposition. Like you're just kind of, I don't know.
That's totally how all of us used to get on shows, though. We would email 300 people and somebody would say
like
yes.
when we were 15, yeah.
I mean, I think the best advice I can give for anything is someone told this to me a few years ago and it just clicked. It's like you only get one chance to make a first impression.
Oh, yeah.
So it's just like have everything as good as you can right off the bat. Like, if someone's got a camera or access to a good camera that knows something, you can record a good demo for not too much money. Like, I don't know, just don't try to get a show until you're ready, that kind of thing. That's one thing actually, you had Mikey and Islander from here.
Yeah.
That's something we talked about in depth back in the day. Like, you never saw Islander with cell phone pictures of them, or
Right.
like shitty home demos or whatever. Right off the bat, good press pics, good quality studio recordings. And it was like, cool, we're serious.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. So, yeah, that video of you guys practicing in your garage with your shirt off, don't send that to me. Like, I already gotten one of those. Like,
As erotic as it may be. And it may be.
All of those videos are on a hard drive in Wes's basement somewhere. He's like, don't send me any more of those weird videos.
I've gotten it all, man.
That I don't love.
Like 5 or 6 years ago, I got someone that was like, how do I get my music to you? I'm like, yeah, just upload it and send me a link and be like, how do I do that? And I'm like,
If I have to explain to you how to attach a fucking song onto your email, then what are you doing asking for a show? Because you don't live in this century.
this guy was like, the files are on my computer. How do I do this? And at that point, I just kind of gave up. Like,
no.
I was just like, dude, like I'm very sympathetic. I try to be very sympathetic, but it's just like, man, like, I mean, right now I probably get around 250 to 300 inquiries a month. And
Whoa.
Yeah. And
Whoa.
So I was trying to tell someone without being like pretentious, like I probably turn down at least 150 bands a month.
Sure.
So, like, it's like,
Yeah.
I try to respond to every single one. I try to like be like, hey, this doesn't work for me, or hey, we're full, try this other club, or
Right.
something like that. I maybe delete one if it's just flagrantly bad, but like,
Right.
Dude, those make it to the bad demo reel, right?
I may have a folder somewhere.
My man. I need a link.
So the things that you're looking for, number one, don't half-ass your image. So even if it means that you have like a photographer friend, throw them $20 to spend half an hour with you just shooting. Like, there's a lot of things that you can do for free in a band when you're just starting out. One of the things you really shouldn't skimp on are your image, your branding. Like, show that you're not just like pulling something up in MS Paint and then, just like throwing it out there, that you put some thought behind it. The other one that you mentioned too was like, don't send home recordings of what you're doing. Like, actually take pride in the fact that you've gone out, you've gotten studio time, you've created a recording that is an accurate or what you consider to be the best representation of your band at that time.
Right.
And something that you would be willing to sell. Like, make your music something that you would be willing to ask people for money for. Like, put enough work into it to where you don't feel weird taking money for it.
Yeah, there's just this weird like cultural divide with knowledge, and I feel bad for bands like, especially guys like, say, my age, like I'm 36, that maybe are like all their friends have all had their kids and they're getting a band together,
Right.
and they don't know where to go from there, and they're like, okay, Reverb Nation, that's where we put our music, and you're like, no, and it's like, no, please don't. But there's no one to tell them, that kind of thing, or like.
But you had mentioned this cultural divide. Dig into that just a little bit more. What would you consider to be that age bracket?
I mean, there's not even an age bracket, man. It's just like, there's just like, either people, like fellow musicians that have educated you, and you come up with it, or you haven't.
Right.
There's not like classes on how to be in a band or anything like that.
Sure.
Or like, there's only like there's definitely knowledge out there, but there's a couple of podcasts I listen to. They're actually really great. But yeah, it's just, I mean, you have to like research that, and it's not. I don't know. It's just not really available. I don't know. It's kind of.
Everybody listening is going to want to know what these podcasts are that you're listening to.
Oh God, this is gonna be an edit right here.
And you
Stuff you should know. That was just like a little teaser there.
Well,
I know.
not the 11 life one.
No.
Unsub. Is that an AFI tattoo on your forearm?
Yeah.
Is that Art of
Drowning?
Drowning? Man. Love it. We could do a whole 30 minutes on that, Wes.
Oh yeah.
So Davey and I hosted our first, while you're looking up that podcast, Davey and I hosted our first emo night.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
In
Yeah.
Asheville. Like, was this past weekend? It was.
I'll have to send it to you because it's not pulling up.
That's okay.
This was the best thing that ever happened to me.
We had no idea what to expect going into this. And it was one of the funnest nights that we've had in like the past, I don't know, 3 or 4
Can we lay
months.
it? Can we do this? We haven't talked about it yet, have we?
No, we haven't. Well, so the thing is, like, we're kind of on the edge of that age group where, like, we grew up with emo, but we're also kind of like over emo. Like, but
Well, I think you might be.
Going
never-
to this emo night kind of brought me totally back into it. It was like All American Rejects, AFI, My Chemical Romance. Like, we're literally just all these songs that we grew up listening to. We're just playing them and dancing and singing and yelling these songs out together.
So-
Davey and I had a Tom DeLonge off.
We did a Tom DeLonge off. I miss
Whoever
you.
has the best Tom DeLonge
Oh,
impersonation.
God. You see that meme going around about the emo kids when there's like a sandwich or something? I don't know. It's fucking dumb. There's like emo kids. It's usually like someone like salivating over a hamburger, and it says like emo kids when Tom says, "How are you?"
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah. So we get there and like Chris is the guy's name, right?
Yeah.
Chris-
Be careful because I like everybody that was involved.
No, I
in
do
this.
too. Yeah. So Chris was there. He hosts like Emo Night Raleigh, and they've had like Newfound Glory do it, like DJ. I think Adam Lazar is doing the one in October. Like,
So we felt really honored that they had asked us to
fuck,
go.
yeah, of course we'll come
Yeah,
to
our
it.
friends in Deep South the Bar in Raleigh, they do it there. They have like their Justin Pierre, or does it something? The guitar player from Motion City Soundtrack recorded their album, and it was Josh McCain or something like that. And he hosted it. Him and Justin Pierre came and spun the one.
I wonder
recently.
if these are the same people because we heard that story too.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
It's a small world, and emo night.
Yeah, there's only
Emo night is a ridiculously small world.
We get there and they're like, so this is the first emo night Asheville, the first one that we're doing in Asheville. So like, we're like, well, do we both go up? Should just one of us go up to the DJ stand? You know, like, what do we do? And then I was like, dude, we both don't need to go up there. That's a little weird. Like if we just kind of walk up there together and stand and hit play, and then.
And I told David, I was like, there's nothing cooler than us going up and standing behind a DJ deck that we don't know how to work and just high-fiving.
Well, he actually said, "You will go up there with me, you motherfucker."
See, I'm just imagining like the Scott Pilgrim versus the World, the twin brother DJ.
Yeah, it was very much like that. So then I get a PBR in me, and then Fallout Boy's playing. Something clicks in me.
Shirt goes off, and you're just
Dude,
wooing.
I just turned straight. I turned 17. And I was like, dude, I got this.
Got it.
I'll go by myself if
Yep,
I need to.
It was great.
I went up there. I found some PBR stuff and just started tossing it out. We had a Tom DeLonge off. Played Taking Back Sunday
It was
to
amazing.
start it. People just
I
went
had
nuts.
so much fun.
Beer spilled and spewed everywhere.
Dude, so we actually had our fourth one at my bar 2 weeks ago.
So you guys have been doing emo nights at Radio Room.
Yeah, they're
Okay.
bonkers. Like they do ridiculously well for us and costs us nothing. Blake from Glass Mansions actually DJs it.
I love Blake. Oh my gosh, that's so cool.
Yeah, he does the one in Columbia too, and yeah,
Wow.
At New Brooklyn.
yeah.
Yeah.
Way to go, Blake.
Way to go,
So they
Blake.
crush
Dang.
it, man. But I mean, like, one of my friends fell off the stage the other night. He like fell off stage left off the subwoofer behind Blake's stage DJ booth, and like we have a wall rail where you can put your beers and stuff.
Yeah.
Somehow he missed Blake's DJ stand, and it just landed beside Blake. Like, I'm all right. I think his girlfriend fell off too. And I'm just like, and this is the guy that's usually too cool for everything. He's like,
Right.
I used to be in that band, but I want to do something serious now. And you see him just like fucking losing his shit to whatever on a Newfound Glory or whatever.
Yeah.
Well, that was one of the craziest things that we saw at this emo night was the kid who won the Tom DeLonge off, he did a great job. I mean, I can't tell he was drunk AF. But he won this competition, and then I'm pretty sure we saw him like right after he won the Tom DeLonge off. That must have been the straw that broke his girlfriend's back. Because she broke up with him.
No way.
Yes, he literally got done with the competition, and then like because all the girls that I brought, Jessica and friends and family and whatever, they were like, yeah. As soon as he got off, like he went over, and like his girlfriend like looked like she was breaking up with
And
him.
he's like,
Whatever
"Well,
happened,
yeah!"
he started.
And she's like, I'm here, Dave. Damn it.
She's like, I know, right now. I'm feeling it.
I'm breaking up with you right now.
We're breaking up right now.
See, we had the opposite reaction. After one of our first wins, there was a Craigslist misconnection for Emo Night.
Sexual.
What are you doing trolling Craigslist misconnections?
That's a better question.
Asshole.
Someone sent it to it, put it on the Emo Night Facebook page or whatever.
Oh, that's great. I love
and then
that.
afterwards, like there's this couple on the last one that are like a guy and a girl. There's up there the whole time together, and you can tell there's some chemistry. An hour after Emo Night's over, I could check
What do you
my
mean
Facebook.
you can tell there's some chemistry?
Because they were always up on stage together, always singing the same
Just
songs.
high-fiving, booty bumping.
Well, an hour after Emo Night, I checked my Facebook.
I sound like such a dad.
Yeah,
Were they
you're
on
so
stage booty bumping?
I'll see the Facebook thing where it's in a relationship, and I'm like, oh,
Whoa,
crap.
look at you. Matchmaker extraordinaire.
Emo night.
So, yeah, it's come from full circle from, misconnection.
That's amazing. If you were really hard
Facebook
up for a
official.
relationship, I mean, Emo Night's the best place. It's all these emotionally fragile 20 to 30 somethings.
Yep.
And they're still hanging on to this one thing from their youth. If you can connect with them on that level, you can tap into all of that. That's I didn't mean for that to be. That's not a metaphor.
That's a tough word choice. You could tap
It
into
was a
all of
poor
it.
word
I'm just
choice
going
on
down
my part.
alone. Yeah.
Okay, so we totally derailed because we got super stoked about Emo Night, but we were talking about everybody that listens to the podcast is used to us derailing.
Well, what's funny is Brian from Robots Win.
Yeah,
Every time we have Emo Night, people put requests in. Secret Lives of the Freemasons.
Oh, yeah,
gets
dude.
put in there.
That's
And every
great.
time I'm like, dude, come up. People will lose their shit if you have there and saying it only took a whisper or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
And he's like, maybe I'll do it. Maybe, I don't know.
he's so chill. He actually just lives a couple miles from here.
Oh, nice.
And when he came on the podcast, we were like, we had a great time together. And then we were supposed to like hang out and make some sick beats together. I don't know what happened. I always wonder if people like, because we have so many people that come on the podcast, and so like every single person that comes on, I always feel like I would love to just be best friends with them and bro down. There's not enough time in the day, especially now that we've had like however many people on at this point. But there's never been somebody on the podcast where I'm like, I would love to bro down with that person and just hang out, make some sandwiches.
Is that what the kids are calling it these days?
Right. Sandwiches.
Yeah, maybe.
Well, he's vegetarian, so have fun with that.
Brian is to me is a special one because I love all the stuff that he creates, and I love the way he talks about his songs as he's making them, and like I'm interested in his creative process, and he's so humble about all of it. Like,
Me and my fiance are like huge Robots Win nerds.
Yeah.
We came out for the album release show with the Gray Eagle.
yeah.
And we're getting married in spring. And I think they're the band we're going to ask to play at our wedding.
Oh, that's gonna be so cool.
Like, not play like cheesy wedding songs, just play like 2 Robots Win sets. Where we,
Just back to back.
just two 45s, and we'll be done. That's great. So like bands that want to book your venue, you're looking for imagery. You're looking for that they care about their recordings.
yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's imagery, but just having a presentation together. Like,
caring about how they look. Like you were talking earlier about like just having this. Don't send a video of you guys with your shirts off playing in your garage and think that you look super cool.
yeah, or not that they even thought they looked super cool. It's just give it a shit. Like, you don't have to give all the shit.
Just give a shit.
Yeah, like one singular is fine.
Just non-plural shit.
Give us singular shit, and we'll be okay. Yeah.
Well, people they don't think. There's like, I'll put it on the internet and hit send. I don't know.
But you know what those people are really thinking? Like in the back of their heads, they're thinking, this is going to be that story where I just put it on the internet. I put it on SoundCloud. I little yachty this shit. I put it on SoundCloud. And then in a few days, someone's going to find it and I'm going to be a millionaire. Right?
The whole sentence makes me sad.
That-
It just bummed me out. So
Yeah, I'm sorry. Welcome to 11 Eli.
okay, so this actually might be good. Like one of the things that I would do for people who are asking me like, hey, so how do we get to the next level? A lot of times my response is like, what are the things you care about right now? Because I find that a lot of bands don't care about the right things. Like they're kind of just interested in showing up and having fun. And there's an element of that is fun, that is super cool. And that you want to be able to enjoy at specific moments in your life. But a huge thing that differentiates local bands who don't have a draw and touring acts or even regional or national acts that will bring out a crowd is kind of just how you carry yourself. Acts that are regional or taking, there are even local acts that do this. And those are the ones that everybody else looks at and says, I think they're going places. It's because they're carrying themselves like, number one, they care about the audience. They care that you pay, they care that you paid $5 to get in. They care that you paid $15 to get in. They're aware of the bill that they're on. They're not, this is a big one for me, they're not asking other bands to come. They're not asking to get onto other bands' shows to steal their audience. They're leveraging an audience that they've built to make a bigger show for everyone involved. Like, that was one of the biggest pet peeves for me, was just like getting emails from bands that are just like, oh, we saw that you guys like have X amount of followers on Facebook. Like, do you want to come to a show?
Oh God.
And it's like, well, no, because that's actually not how, in our band, that's really not how we operate or how we operated. Like, it was all about, is there somebody emailing us who says, I think I can draw X amount of people, and it looks like you guys have this area like pretty down. Can we do something together? And can we work out a financial situation where the bar wins and all the bands win? And can we incentivize everybody in the process? You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, to make everybody excited about the show.
I think there's something really cool though when a band appears to not give a shit, but they're fucking rad. Like, no effects. Well, no effects appears to not give a shit,
Right.
but they're fucking rad.
Yeah,
And
but they've been doing it for 30 years.
Yeah, but there are bands that like that is their persona.
But
like,
Fat Mike
the
is
we
also
don't
a
give shit.
badass on bass. I mean, like,
They're rad.
Yeah.
They're awesome. But it's like if you're
horrible human being, but
if your music is awesome, then everything else sort of falls
I
into
think
place.
But that's also, you've put the time and effort into making your music awesome, and it just like happen
I
overnight.
think the biggest thing that bands at ground level miss out on
Sure.
is the social components. As that music, going to see live music at this point
Okay.
is about the ground level is who can get your friends out, will your friends come out and support, and like it's just I don't know how to say. It's like, I mean, yeah, it has that social component. Like, can you bring people out? Do your friends want to come out? Like, you'll get better and you'll get an audience if you're good. However, you know, are your friends music lovers, friend supporters? Like, like I say, someone my age, like if I was in the music industry and I was 36 starting a band, I would probably draw maybe my fiance and 2 friends if I'm lucky, you know, because I'm not tapped into that music scene. Or,
Sure.
So Joe Public or whatever is not tapped into it.
Right.
And so that's the biggest thing. If like, can you draw people out? Can you make it an event? Can you make something? I don't know. It's just, I see a lot of bands that are like those younger bands that just have a friend group. They'll come out and support, like the whole Pablo generation from Clemson. They can play and pretty much 20, 25 people will come out for any one of those bands, generally speaking. And that's, they're lucky because I have youth and like a college scene tied into that. But people don't really think about those things.
Yeah.
They think just somebody will show up.
Yeah.
Like if we're good enough, somebody will show up.
Having this idea that somehow the venue has a built-in crowd, which is not true for almost any of it. There've only been, God, out of the 500 venues that we've played, there are maybe a couple that I can recall off the top. Like the odds are not in your favor. It's not.
I will say that like certain venues has a certain clientele that'll be on their radar.
Yeah.
Like I don't do a lot of jam bands or like funk bands typically because
Asheville does enough of that for the world.
Well, there's another venue in town that does that.
Sure.
And the people that like their Facebook likes or whatever, people are tuned into that. They're looking for that at that venue.
Right.
People who go to my venue aren't looking for that. And so those shows, maybe half the people would show up that they would show up at like the other place.
Right.
And vice versa. So it's kind of like honing in, which we're in a bigger building now. So we're expanding the sonic palette and see what we can get away with. But like, I just, like certain genres, I don't really care too much about. Our whole staff doesn't really care too much about.
Yeah.
And our regulars don't care too much about. So it's like, I could book some of those shows, but it just wouldn't be a great experience for anybody involved, really.
Right.
And like our regulars would be like, what is this? Like,
What do you think is your biggest challenge as a promoter? So actually, but before you answer that, define what a promoter's role is and what a venue owner's role is and how they overlap specifically for you.
I really hate the term promoter.
Sure.
That's a big, I don't know. Different markets do different things differently. Up north, it's way more promoter centric.
Yep.
There's venues that have like 5 or 6 basically in-house promoters that will bring shows or in Europe or whatever. And here, you know, I'm a talent buyer. So like people all the time refer to me as promoter, which is fine, you know, tomato. But I think a promoter has so many negative connotations to it sometimes.
Yeah.
Everybody's been burned by a bad promoter or the promoter took off with the money, that kind of thing.
Right.
Like, and so I don't know. I mean, tangent. What was the question? The difference between?
So like we were kind of getting at like the purpose of a promoter is the role of a promoter is essentially to book and choreograph talent for a show.
Right.
Figure out what all the back end looks like, figure out what all the finances look like, and what does that normally look like for you at radio? Well, I mean, without giving away too much.
We keep our overhead low. We're pretty promoter friendly. I just try to like, I don't know. I don't have a lot of luck without. I have a few in-house promoters I do shows with every now and then, but I kind of keep to a pretty high standard as far as promotion on my end.
Yeah.
Like I run the Facebook, the Instagram, the Twitter. I update our website. And that's like my full-time job is doing all that. Yeah. So I kind of expect a lot from promoters who are putting shows together. Like, hey, this is the basis of what I'm doing.
Right.
I want you to at least be here if you're only doing one show every 3 months and I'm doing 60 shows every 3 months. Like, you know, just give me flyers, tag me in Instagram stuff so I can share it or you know, just like do the bare essentials. So, I mean, it's kind of, we're very giving for promoters, but we're also kind of, I don't know. I'll tell someone if like, hey, next time you could do this better.
Sure. Yeah. So you have guys that are like, hey, I've put together a bill. Like, so what does that normally look like in terms of, do you normally rent your venue out to a promoter? Or
it depends on our familiarity with them. If I have someone who has a good track record, I just make sure they tell them, you know, basically this is what the deal is. This is what production is.
Right.
After that, we'll figure out whatever the deal is. But if it's a first time promoter, generally we do a rent out. And the thing is, we don't want like money from the door. Our philosophy has always been, we want musicians to get paid. So like, you know, I set like sales goals where like, hey, this is the rent at this sales tier, you get half of it back. At this tier, you get all of it back except for production, that kind of stuff. And I try to make it pretty reasonable just so that like, I don't want your money. We just want the bar.
Right.
I mean, that's different for everybody.
Right.
But like, you know, we don't want, like whenever we do a band with a guarantee and a back end, like we have more expenses now. So I had to keep some of the back end. But unless we're like just having a really bad month, I'll try to give everything to the support I can, or, you know, like we go out of pocket a lot of times on shows. I've had shows where I just throw everybody gas money because it's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
But then you also have shows where you make $100 off the back end. So you make sure that goes back into the ever flowing nest egg of whatever. But like, we're never like, oh man, we made $1,000 at the door and I guarantee it's only 500. That's 400 or whatever for us, you know? Like,
right. So one of the big differences would be promoters' jobs are to make money off the bands, and a venue owner would be, their job is kind of to make money off the space or the bar. A lot of times, I know that there can be different like ways that normally pans out or plays out.
Yeah,
but like the promoter wants bodies in the door so that they can make money off ticket sales and then work out all the other stuff with the bands on the back end. And the venue owner is like, once you get people, if you can get people in the door, I have things to sell them. I have things to keep them here.
I mean, like we're very, you know, just want to keep the lights on is all we care about.
Yeah.
Like we're not balling or anything. So like, as long as we can make it a win-win.
No one's ever said that on the show before.
We're not balling?
We're not balling or anything. I just
well, I mean, like, you know, there's different things I have to take into consideration. Like, okay, we have 2 bartenders on a Friday or Saturday night. Will they be able to pay their bills? You know, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
People, you Sunday through Thursday, not a big deal. Friday, Saturday, a little bit. I had to be more discerning about stuff, So that's kind of the scenario I'm getting into more now these days is like, I gotta be able to justify to partners and to staff, like what's going on, that kind of thing, because I actually have people's livelihood depending on shows that are coming in to some extent,
What is something that a band could do or be or create that when it came across your desk, you would say, I want to book them here?
I mean, honestly, just having your stuff together and and presenting me with a good bill automatically goes a long way. If someone can be like, okay,
so like doing the legwork of putting together, okay,
especially if they're locals that do play my bar and do draw. And like, I had a band, I think they're from Nashville, called Miki Fiki. Awesome band.
Yeah.
And they came to me, they're like, hey, we want this date. We have Daddy's Beamer and Tom Hanks on there. Both of them play my bar regularly, draw. I was like, cool, let's do it. That was easy.
Yeah.
And then that was a really great show and they killed it. So then and a lot of times I'll get bands will be like, hey, we could play your bar and we can bring these bands to play there to play with us that have never played my bar before.
Right.
That I've never heard of. I was like, that does me no good. Like,
right.
If I'm doing, I think we did 236 shows in the last year from July to July, and I've never heard of this band. Like, just kind of knowing your market.
Do you consider yourself really in tune with your market? And if so, how do you stay there? How do you stay in tune with it?
I stay in tune with as much as I can. I mean, I can't be in tune with everything, but as far as like what Ready Room does well, I'm in touch with it. And then if I have questions, I know when to ask questions to other people. Hip hop, I have some promoters I ask about their opinions on things like that. But yeah, I mean, just staying in touch is just, I don't know, just blogs, whatever. Like, I use a lot of Spotify playlists.
Yeah.
Actually, at this point right now, I'm just going to creeping Spotify playlist and seeing who I like, see if they have any market value, that kind of thing, and try and dissect that algorithm a little bit.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting because we use data for a lot of stuff. And for somebody in your situation, I can imagine that would be so helpful to be able to see, like, if you're a local band and you're like still kind of struggling in that under 1,000 streams kind of area, then you're probably not actively going out, and promote. You're probably not actively using social media in a way to get those sorts of numbers in your,
Yeah. Well, I think, I don't know, I've been having this conversation with myself and with a friend like the last week or two. And I've been really, I don't know, down on Facebook and like other social media platforms and looking more to streaming services as being more of a one-stop shop. Because Facebook ideally should be, but it's hard to quantify that. Someone can buy likes. I've had acts in my room that sold 150 tickets to have 10,000 Facebook likes. Someone that had 5 tickets in my room that had 10,000 Facebook likes.
Yep.
Depending on the markets and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It depends on our markets. Like, we have a really hard time with like younger screamo, emo, hardcore stuff. There's not really a lot of local bands or a scene here for that.
Yeah.
But like Americana and any kind of twang stuff does really well for us. Like anything WNCW friendly. And so
wow. Yeah.
So that's a big presence, actually.
Yeah. For everybody listening to the show who has no idea what WNCW is, they're one of the premier sort of folk bluegrass Americana radio stations in our area, and they do an amazing job of staying current with bands that are up and coming in that genre. I wish I was like a little more in tune with that, but
it's really funny how like the scenes shift over time. When like 8-10 years ago, when I was in Greenville, playing out in Greenville, it was nothing but screamo bands.
Right.
Like just tons and tons of screamo bands. And I was in a pop punk band and people hated us. And it's like, fuck you guys. But it was just like screamo bands would drive down the street and yell, fuck you guys. I'm like, damn, man. But no, it's true. But there were just so many screamo bands. And it's just, I guess that just dissipated. I wonder if it just gets oversaturated and somebody's like,
I mean, I'm sure there's people out there doing it. They just haven't really hit me up, like, and I don't know, like I get it all the time, like, oh, I didn't know you guys were here. And I'm like, okay, I'm sorry.
Really? Still in Greenville, you get that?
Oh, dude, like I had a hip hop show last week, and they're like, oh, this is a nice place. Never, and I'm like, okay, yeah. I mean, someone was cutting my hair today, and they're like, oh, what do you do for a living? Oh, I own a bar, a music venue. Oh, what's a music venue?
Yeah, well,
I was like,
that person probably isn't. But I would venture to say at this point,
Are you getting your haircut in Mayberry? Like what? What the hell?
Most people from Columbia, probably most people in South Carolina at least, know what Radio Room is. Or most people who are like tuned into that at all.
right, you know,
Yeah.
people are into, but we take that for granted too,
Yeah,
because we all have musician friends. We've all been in music too.
it's probably true. Yeah.
To the layperson, yeah. Every time something like that happens, I'm like, oh, nothing. Just the last 7 or 8 years of my life's work. No big deal.
Yeah.
So, having spent so much time there, what excites you the most about the local music scene right now? Are there bands, are there groups of bands that are really exciting? Is there creativity that you're picking up on?
It usually happens. I've noticed the cycle for me is that like there will be like 6 months of brand new music where it's just kicking ass, and then like 6 more months of me enjoying that, and then 6 months of them all breaking up and hopefully starting new bands. So I'll find it, be like, oh man, great! There's tons of local talent, local bands for me to put these shows. Oh, cool, things are going great. Oh god, all the good local bands are broken up. Fuck.
Yeah.
Wash, rinse, repeat.
Wow.
But at least I know the cycle at this point, you know.
Yeah.
But no, we have some really strong talent right now. Brother Oliver is really hitting it hard. Kind of like a psychedelic folk thing. Then you have Hugger Mugger, which is Cassie from used to be in Signs of Iris.
Yeah.
Her new project is pretty cool. And Horrible Girl and the Hot Mess I really enjoy. They're I don't know, kind of pop punk, but in that like Jeff Rosenstocky kind of DIY kind of thing.
Oh yeah.
They're really, really fun. But yeah, I mean it's kind of all over the place. And people think we have this really big metal scene. And we're like, we have a decent metal scene, but we don't have like a huge metal scene.
Right.
It's like I'll see the same people at the shows, all 20 of them, you know?
Yeah.
There's not people clamoring like, bring me the metal.
So Ground Zero closed, right?
They're still there.
What happened at Ground Zero? Something newsworthy happened. For some reason that popped in my head.
Because somebody's talked about it before. Like recently,
Did
somebody said
die
something
recently?
about Ground Zero.
No, someone from Columbia just died, a musician, but
Yeah.
downer right here.
Yeah. Oh,
I think I know what
man.
you're talking about. That is a terrible downer.
Yeah, that might be a
Yeah.
little too insider baseball. Ground Zero was this place that we grew up going to shows there. A lot of tooth and nail bands would play there back in the day whenever we were coming up, and we would go see some
Do you guys
shows
see,
there.
were you guys there before your time? Do you guys see MXPX there?
I never saw him there.
I don't think I saw MXPX.
I saw
there.
MXPX with Get Up Kids and Homegrown opening up. For
Oh
them.
my god.
That's so fun.
This is when Get Up Kids first came out too.
Sweet.
Yeah, so it was like slowly going the way of the Buffalo tour.
Oh my god.
Oh
It
wow,
was like 98.
that's so much fun.
I was like 16. Yeah,
My man.
saw the Vandals there and all that. Yeah,
Dude.
it was fun.
I love that. Well, one of the things that we talk to people on the podcast about is God and what you think about him or her or it. What do you think about that? Are you
That's funny, 'cause I noticed that in
religious?
every podcast. I
Yeah,
don't-
because we have that.
I
Like,
didn't know if it was like I wasn't sure if it was like laid out.
sometimes we ask the question a little differently depending on how the conversation's gone. But in all sincerity, we're just kind of interested because growing in the South, up in the South, we had a lot of preconceptions to work through, like throughout our whole life about information we were given about growing up, like sort of Protestant and rural and like not getting a lot of information and then like touring the world and then seeing like slowly all of that just sort of coming
Oh, yeah.
undone.
I
And
listened
then-
to the first season. I know.
Yeah, right, yeah. So thank you. But yeah, so
no, I
like
related to it.
so what's your experience been like? Like, did you grow up? Did you have religious parents? Did you not? Did nobody
Okay.
give a shit?
If I recall correctly, it's going to be very similar to a lot of things. I grew up in church, Sunday morning, Sunday night, Wednesday night. Went to
Yeah.
Christian school from kindergarten till 8th grade. Bible class 4 days a week, chapel on Fridays.
Oh my gosh.
So good education.
Yeah. Yeah.
Real STEM.
I went to Westgate Christian in Spartanburg.
Yeah.
Is that the name of the mall?
Yeah, Westgate Mall.
It is-
Yeah.
everything's Westgate there.
Oh, okay.
That rich people own.
But yeah, so that was kind of my experience growing up in that. And basically, it was all well and good till puberty kicked in. And then I was just like, what? I don't agree.
You were just like, boobies!
Oh my God.
I'm
slightly more discreet.
Was that your puberty in like one word?
It was. I was like 9.
Oh, okay.
Well, just you start seeing all the things you're told no to, and you're like, well, why? Like
Boobies.
we were, we were
Okay.
All right, let's move on. Go ahead.
like we weren't allowed to listen to Christian rock music because that was of the world.
You were not allowed?
Yeah, that was like it was too much imitating secular music too much.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, like when I found rock music when I was a kid, I was like, "This is the best thing ever." Like, no, this is the worst thing ever. You're going to hell. Like,
You're going to hell for listening to Petra.
dude, Petra was nah.
Oh my gosh, that's incredible.
So you weren't even allowed to listen to religious rock and roll music.
Nah, it was conforming to the style of the world. So
You and me both, brother.
Yeah.
My parents were so weirded out that there was such a thing as Christian rock. They hated it.
My mom was down with OPP.
But looking back on some of the Christian rock, some of it's really bad. I can see, like, I don't know. Some of it's aged well, some of it has not.
Striber.
I would say most of it hasn't.
Mortification. The worst snare sound ever.
Like I would say most of it hasn't, but at the same time, there are so many amazing bands that came out of that scene that I still to this day love. MXPX and Five Iron being one of them.
For sure.
Like, yeah. So
Yeah.
so that, how is that? What does that look like now? Because you're a father, you're a grown ass man, you're married. You have a lot of adultish things sort of like in your life right now. Are any of these things that you learned as a child, or any of these religious things that you were taught as a child, do they in some way sort of form a moral compass or a code, or do you find those things in other places?
All that stuff's really still ingrained, and like, I don't know, people look at me and like, for people listening, I'm like super heavily tattooed and, you know, like look like a rock guy, but I mean, like, I'm still pretty, I mean, politically, I'm not conservative at all, but like, as far as like, I don't know, values and any kind of like personal stuff, I still like holds true. I don't know, I have a lot of, not hang-ups, but like, there's certain things you talk about how you carry yourself.
Sure.
And a lot of those still kind of ring true to me, like, you know, how you dress and like, especially like the female form or something. It was like respecting yourself through how dress code or things like that.
Sure.
Or just your values, like, you know, this person is obviously seeking attention or something like that.
Sure.
But yeah, I mean, I still have like things that hang around, stuff like that. But I mean, I'm glad I had a good moral upbringing instead of the other way. I mean, I'm completely agnostic. I don't believe in anything, right? Like, I'm not an atheist or anything. I mean, I believe there's a higher power. I just can't define it.
Sure.
So, but at the same time, like, you know, at least I have these values I can pass on to my daughter and something like that. And like, hopefully, I mean, my whole goal in the whole world is just to leave it a better place than I left. So like, hopefully that's through my daughter and my stepson. Hopefully they learned something from me and made a better decision because of it. And hopefully I set an example in other people's some way.
What a beautiful hope to have. Wes.
So you do see value in being raised with some moral compass.
Oh, totally.
But the thing is, I think everybody is raised to some degree with a moral compass. Some of it, like in the South, it's more likely that your moral compass centered around a specific kind of religion or brand of religion. Around the rest of the world, a lot of times that's not true. I think it's very rare that somebody grows up completely void of a moral compass altogether.
Oh, yeah.
I wonder if you had Mowgli living in the jungle. and he's
Sure.
like, did he grow up with a moral
Of course,
compass?
Bagheera. Bagheera taught him everything about a moral code.
Okay, like aside from talking animals.
That's the whole point of the talking animal.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying. I'm like, in a vacuum, is morality?
Bagheera is his Jiminy Cricket.
Is morality a function of society, or is it an ingrained, innate thing?
Oh man.
Somebody pass the
Not it,
weed.
not it.
There's got to. I'd love to talk to a social psychologist about that.
I'm asking you, Wes. Answer.
Yeah, I don't know, because it sounds like you're so chill about this stuff. Like, hey, I can't get on board with this. I'm pretty staunchly agnostic, but I also have kind of cherry picked these really cool things that I feel like that ring true, or that I like, that I've experienced in life, and I like passing those things on. I like leaving the world, like just what you said. I like leaving the world.
I mean, I'm almost 37. I mean, so I still have hang-ups and issues, but like, 13-year-old me is 2 lifetimes away. So I mean, like, you learn to cherry pick, the stuff you really bitch about or whatever.
Sure.
I mean, God, put me in front of Fox News, it'll be a whole different story. Me and my fiance would just be like, what? And my mother-in-law even, we're just like, what is going on?
Do you have a hard time relating to your parents' political views?
Oh dear God, yes.
Yeah. Me too.
Welcome to the South.
Yeah.
Dude, no, I love my mom, and she doesn't listen to this, so I don't have to worry about it. But I actually had to tell her not to use a racist term in front of my daughter and my stepson.
Oh, wow.
And like,
Mom, cut it back.
I don't think she even meant it. I think she was just regurgitating like Rush Limbaugh or somebody.
Sure.
I mean, like, dude, it was just.
Yeah.
I've heard my parents do that a few times before too. I'm pretty sure at one point my mom was like, "So I saw your podcast on TV the other night."
No,
I was
you
like,
didn't.
"You're a liar."
She's like, it came on
That's
right
how
after
I
Bill
know you
O'Reilly.
don't tell the truth about things.
Beth and I have talked about it. I've sent her some links. We sat down one night and
Did you?
We went through this.
This is your go-to. You talk about sort of like flirting with my mom every time.
We weren't. I mean, you can
It
call
wasn't-
it whatever
it
you
wasn't
want to call it.
flirtation.
I don't think it was.
Yeah.
I mean, do you think it was?
No, I think it's just two adults
You think I should
having a nice guy. You think I should text her?
That's the weirdest thing. So I reconnected with a high school friend on Facebook, and we hung out a few times. He's like, "Oh yeah, I talk to your mom on Facebook every now and then. I think we might grab lunch or something."
Oh,
I'm like, what the?
Mama West.
Just a random high schooler.
Well, no, he's a good friend of mine back in the day.
Oh, okay.
He's also
Yeah.
36 now. He's no longer a high schooler. It's totally cool. Mama West can do whatever she wants.
Mama Wes. I'm sure that's what everyone calls her. Oh my
buddy.
gosh, that's amazing. Well, that's cool, man. So when was the last time that you felt an overwhelming sense of joy or pride in something that you're like, man, I'm not going to feel like that for a long time?
I don't know. It sounds super cheesy, but anytime I see my daughter, man, I mean, my daughter is.
That's
great.
not cheesy.
What a great
She's
dad.
real. She's a real thing
I mean,
that happens to
it
you
just
every
sounds like
day.
a token parent response. I don't know. Like I'm slowly turning into the super dad mode.
How old is your daughter?
7 months.
I think that's magical because I don't have a kid. So I
Okay.
don't know it. I just assume when everyone tells me it's magical.
I've got a 4-year-old boy, and he is hell on wheels.
Dude, honestly, I was
And the light in my life. Is what I'm saying.
no, I was actually. I told my fiance, I was like, at first we all wanted a boy.
yeah.
Well, me and my stepson wanted a boy,
Yeah.
and then found we're having a girl.
This is so southern. You and your stepson are colluding for a new child.
Like, Daddy, if you do it in the hot tub,
Daddy, I read on the internet that
Daddy,
if you, mama, no, I'm
full
just kidding.
moon.
All right,
But no, I was
sorry.
walking
With a
down.
coven.
I was walking downtown one day, and there's this restaurant called Roost, and these like little boys were. It's like an overhang, and there's a waterfall below. It goes street level,
Yeah.
and these little boys were just throwing firecrackers off in the middle of the streets, like being little shits.
Yeah.
I was just like, I'm glad I'm having a girl.
Yeah, dude.
So you never see girls like just being super mischievous like that. I mean,
Was it when you had your daughter? Was it a centering thing for you? Did it feel like it simplified some things or complicated?
I think
them?
so. I mean, basically, I'm pretty black or white about certain things, and like I don't know, like at my bar.
You
I mean,
racist son of a bitch. I'm just kidding. No, like yeah, I get it.
well, like at my bar, like everybody's like it's a very social bar. We all hang out,
Yeah.
and everybody drinks late or whatever. I'm always a guy that my job's done. I cut out because I know how to get up and take care of my daughter the next morning
Yeah.
or something like that. And basically, it's kind of just give me a purpose. It's been like, what is kind of what I'm doing it for?
Yeah.
Not just for me anymore, but hopefully to leave something behind. And I don't know. It's just kind of it definitely has centered a lot. Is probably the best term. Yeah.
That's awesome.
So it's just I don't know. It's like we have my work family and I have my regular family, and so I mean, I'm at work in the building. The bare minimum I have to be.
Yeah.
Like if it's not something that has to be done, I'm working from home, or I come in and do my stuff and get out, kind of thing, because I have a family to go home to. Because like you guys are cool, but my family's a whole lot cooler. Like
Yeah. Work-life balance, something I have yet to figure out, and I envy those that have.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's like I've always started projects. I've always done like music blogs or other stuff, and like I actually started a few projects the last year, and I've been like, I don't have time to do this well, or this is going to take away from family time. So like, if I don't see the reward coming, I should probably cut it out. I'm not investing in as much time as outside ventures as I used to.
Yeah.
I still have some other stuff I'm working on, but like, I don't know. It just has to mean something more.
You're protecting your time.
Yeah.
You need to.
Yeah, I love that.
So yeah, I mean, it's just trying to find that eternal balance. Like, but I mean, also we have some months from doing 24 shows a month, and then like my fiance.
Oh, I'm sure that's hard.
My fiance is just like, "What are you doing?" Like,
Yeah.
it's like I still haven't figured out how not to be in the building for every show for the most part.
Yeah.
You just say it's none of your business. It's my work family.
Well, I'm trying to get to the point where like I'm only in there for contract shows, or like it's like the big shows with deposits and all that stuff. Where like my name's on the production contact, but also has so many friends from over the years that play the bar. Then I'm like, I want to go see my friends play too and hang out with them. And
yeah, of course.
And I've accidentally been like, oh yeah, I'm putting this band up again. And sorry, babe, I thought I told you. My bad.
Oh my gosh.
Is there like an endless line of bands that sleep at your house?
I've had people that are grandfathered in at this point. We're not taking new applicants.
Okay, cool. Got it. Got it. The squatters.
And that's what marriage will do.
Well, no, like,
severely inhibit how many people live in your house.
Yeah, she at the altar she inherited 30 bands.
Oh yeah. No, nobody's ever thinking about that. They're just
well, like, we have a band called Lee Baines III and the Glory Fires. Do you guys know them?
No. Rad name though.
Dude, they are rad as fuck. They're it's a like southern tinged kind of punk rocky band.
Sweet.
Love it.
Yeah, no, they were on Sub Pop and they're on Don Giovanni now. You did a first chord, either a believer or you're not, and everybody I met is like, oh fuck yeah, like
sweet.
But it's just amped up, like super left, politically charged southern rock, and they say with this so many times that like we kind of refer to them as the Uncle Glory Fires.
That's awesome.
So like I have this like mental image of all four of them like wearing the same T-shirt or something, like four heads, Like,
have you seen within the Trump era? Have you seen an uptick in bands become like actually having more to say than just internal bullshit retrospection?
Yeah, I mean, it's all cyclical though. I mean, like it's to the next. The news cycle is so short that like it's to the next outrage at this point.
Right.
And I don't know. I mean, it's definitely been more of it, and you're gonna have a couple more years of stuff to write about. But
yeah.
I don't know. It's just I'm also being a little older, having more perspective, and it's like, oh, everybody's doing that now. And now everybody's doing this,
Oh, it becomes like, oh yeah, of course they're going to have a political thing to say or talk about. Or
exactly, yeah. Like, American Idiot was a reaction to the Bush era, Like,
yeah.
So you start seeing the patterns, It's like, oh, look, everybody's doing mumble rap. Oh, everybody's being political. Like, oh God, make it stop.
Right. Well, it keeps things fresh. I guess.
I don't know. I'm entering like the old man twilight of my music listening, so I've listening habits have definitely chilled out more. So it's I have more perspective on it. I don't know.
That's awesome.
I'm entering the old man that loves punk rock and acoustic guitar and flannel phase. I got a Chuck Reagan album phase of my life.
Sure. So what's your best life the image of the best life you can imagine living right now?
Honestly, what I'd like to do is what I'm doing now, but do less shows and do bigger shows. That's kind of my goal, like to get back into the festival stuff, and over time in like 5 or 10 years to be able to do 10, 12 shows a year, but make them all, 5,000 person shows or something like that, or 500 person shows.
Oh my God, that's where Mikey and I last saw each other It was like what 3-4 years ago. It's
Yeah.
like the festival that you put on in Greenville where we played there. Yeah.
That's the funny thing. I listen to your podcast. I'm like, they played my festival. They played my festival. Because you had Brian, Glass Mansions, Mikey, and I guess maybe someone else.
Because Wes, you're so important to the scene in Greenville, South Carolina. And
You're
I
a
know like
linchpin,
it's,
Wes.
yeah, I wish that we had known you, God, what, 10 years ago, 15 years ago now. Like just crazy thinking about everything that has changed in Greenville. Like when we were coming up, like actually watching Greenville get built, like playing in the construction zone where the waterfall is now, like just in all that debris and material, and like trying to find these pop-up punk shows to play.
Dude, I know people like in Greenville now are very, I hate to say it, but kind of spoiled in a lot of regards. Like there's a big push a few years ago about, oh, why don't we have a bigger venue? We need an orange pill, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, guys, we barely had.
Can you sustain it?
Well, I don't know, you barely had functioning 200-person music venues for like a few years. Like,
Yeah.
you don't support them. And like, but we're here, we want it. And it's like
Yeah.
that Morrissey song, you just haven't earned it yet, baby. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and I was like,
yeah.
I remember 6-8 years ago, oh, this venue closed. We're all playing here now. Oh, this venue closed. We're playing here now.
Yep.
Like that shuffle. That's how I got into booking, because I saw that like that was happening and everybody started playing this new venue and there was no order. And I was
Yep.
doing all those shows anyway. And I'm like, well, maybe I should just be that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, like that was 8 years ago probably. And yeah, I mean, we're just now getting venues that are sustaining and staying there and that are active. It's like it needs to be a natural progression. Like even my room, people are like, "Oh, when you get in a bigger place, when you get," I'm like, I don't know. We've been
Didn't
here
you just move to a new
yeah, we've been here
place?
like a year. Like, it was like I don't know, man. We're just figuring this thing out now. Like,
Yeah.
I think that local music scenes are built around people like you. You would never probably admit that because I know you're probably too modest about it. But I think that there are many local music scenes around the country that we've seen that are built around people like you that are like, look, I believe in the bands, and even when the venues are gone, I'm the contact guy for these bands. Like they know that they can call me and I can hook them up with a show. So it only makes sense that like, you know, you're the person that actually cares that this thing exists, that live music exists, and that there is a way to make live music sustainable for people who have other business interests, like opening up a bar, opening up a music venue. Like I just want to commend you on what I've seen you do such an amazing job of saying no to bands when it hurt them and saying yes to bands when it hurt you, and playing that weird middleman role to make sure that everybody's still around next month for there to be places for bands to play.
yeah,
Like I know that's complicated.
that's the hardest part about the last year has been like I have bands that play the old place when it was 65 legal capacity
Yeah.
or over double that size now, and like I love you guys.
That place was a 65 legal capacity?
yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, dude, we had like 110, 120 people in there sometimes.
Yeah.
It's fucking, yeah.
That's awesome.
Okay, don't say that on the microphone.
Fire marshal.
Yeah, my new venue sells 200 tickets.
Yeah.
We're a much bigger place. And so we're having a little bit of growing pains now, or at least I am, of like friends bands who I really like,
Yeah.
but they're from Charlotte, Atlanta, Knoxville, whatever.
Yeah.
That tour once every 6 months, maybe bring 10 or 15 people out, but can only do it on Friday, Saturday. And it's like, oh man, like these have to be the bigger nights for us, or that kind of thing. Or
Yeah.
like, can you do it on a Thursday, Sunday? Or
Yeah.
like, like, oh, I can't put you on a show because I have to get approved by management and agents and stuff like that. So like,
Yeah.
like there's probably 20 something like ticketed shows on my calendar right now with agents and all that, where like every single one of them, submit your openers. Who do you want? Like,
Yeah.
and I have to have them approved. Like, so it's definitely taking a little bit of the freedom away from that stuff. I wish there was I wish there was an old radio room still, or like an incubator venue. So I could be like, oh, cool. This person's selling 50 people consistently. Cool. Yeah.
Mhm.
We'll bring them up or whatever,
Yeah.
But right now we don't have that. So it's been a little hard because it's like we want those bigger shows. We need those bigger shows to keep the lights on, but we also have loyalty to people that play with us for years. And it's trying, like, the analogy I've used is that it's like all your kids are trying to come home at once and you only have so many rooms in the house.
Yep.
And it's just like, I love you, man. I'm trying to get you back in.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but like, I don't know, J. Roddy Walks in the business is that night. And like,
Yep.
Like I had to cancel the show because I thought the Ataris were coming through and
Yep.
stuff like that. And it's, I don't know. That's been a hard part about it. Like I feel really bad about that. So,
yeah.
But I mean, at the same time, I have my partners to protect. I have, my bartenders that depend on me for their tips and all that.
Your world's a lot more complicated than whatever other band. Like everybody has their own world of complication. Like the band trying to make enough gas money to stay on tour, like their complications are totally different than yours, which is like feeding your kids, making sure that your business partners are okay, that you guys have healthy, functioning relationship. Like, yeah. So just like taking those kinds of things into account. As I've gotten older, the more I'm like, oh.
Yeah. And some people are just like, oh, they're like, oh, Wes is booking his friends or blah, 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 and it's like, well, no, those people, they draw. And, like, I'll try to, if I didn't think that the venue would burn out, everybody would have to have so much fatigue, I would do 6 shows a week.
Yeah.
But I just know the audience, we wouldn't be able to capture that many fans that our staff would be like revolting at this point.
Yeah.
Like, there's only so much you can do in a 3rd tier market.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's just that fine line. It's always ever evolving, I would say.
I love that. Well, we've totally gone the time.
Yeah,
what's one thing that you could leave bands with? Like just one amazing front-loaded nugget of wisdom that you could give to bands?
I would say know your market, know your venue, do research. Like,
you mean like know what you're asking when you're asking for a show?
Well, for instance, I think I mentioned earlier, we don't do a lot of jam bands or like Southern rock. Like,
yeah,
I've done like 2 Southern rock shows the last year. Both came to die. We lost like $500 a piece on each of them. And like no one came, no one gave a shit. And it's so close to Americana, you think it might rub off a little bit or something.
Right.
No.
Yeah.
But I have so many bands that are like jam bands that hit me up, or like bands that are just not what we do, or like cover bands that are just looking for a place to play. And it's like, we don't do cover bands. I would just say people to educate yourselves. Like, there's always that mentality of throwing it against a wall and see what sticks. But, if I see that I'm BCC'd in the email address with like 10 other people, like, nah, bro.
Yeah.
Like, those don't get a reply.
That's unfortunate.
But yeah, it's just kind of taking the time to educate yourself a little bit. Like, if you're a metal band, look for metal bands are playing, that kind of thing. If you're an acoustic act, I get tons of singer-songwriters hit me up. We're not a singer-songwriter place.
Yeah.
Like every now and then one of them will like open up a bill or something.
Yeah.
But we're not like, Smiley's Acoustic Cafe or something.
Right. And
so just taking the time to educate yourself just a little bit goes a long way, I think.
Yeah. That's awesome. I love it, dude. I've loved having you here.
Yeah, thanks.
I think you're doing amazing things for Greenville. I think we're going to be looking back on this podcast in the next 3 years and be like, oh, can't get Wes in here anymore. It's too damn busy.
Do you want to live here, Wes? You could just stay here.
We've got our eyes on a few places here in Western North Carolina that
you say you're getting air conditioning soon, right?
Soon.
Yes. Awesome, dude. Well, we love you, and get the fuck out of here.
All right, cool. I feel like I dropped enough F-bombs, or it's your turn. Yeah, go ahead.
Bye.